Hey guys, welcome back to Pillbox Movies. I'm Hank, and today we're going to be watching the 1971 Italian giallo film, The House with Laughing Windows. This is a film by director Pupi Avati. I've only seen one of Avati's other works, that being All Deceased Except the Dead, which was one of the greatest, I think, giallo films I've ever seen in my life. That and Tenebrae, I guess. The movie is about a mystery of a killer painter who uses his victim's blood as inspiration for his paintings. That's the kind of shit I'm into. I kind of want to check out some more like shitty, gory horror giallo films where nothing makes sense and the points don't matter. Sometimes you need a little bit of that in your life. So yeah, without further ado, let's watch The House with Laughing Windows. And before we get started, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. It's reminiscent of, who is the saint that's adored by gay people? Saint Sebastian, that's correct. Oh, I guess that is Saint Sebastian. I mean, it's a different depiction. I believe Saint Sebastian is shot with arrows, but stabbing, arrows, potato. So I wonder if that's hinting at a possible queer reading. We'll see. The Italians usually are a bit, we'll say, stingy with their queer representation. I can't exactly tell if this is the right aspect ratio or if this is just if this might be the wrong aspect ratio or if this is just how Italian faces are.
Stato io a scrivere all'Accademia, sa? A costo di inventarlo mi sono detto bisogna pure che troviamo un paesano celebre. Ma anche il turismo da queste parti è finita. Le acque termali non bastano più.
I recognize this actor. The little person, the dwarf. He was in the only other Pupi Avati movie that I've seen. Pupi Avati apparently was a little bit of an eccentric as far as a filmmaker and producer goes, and he liked having his own recurring cast of of actors. I think I recognize the actors too. Probably the leading man too, but I don't really recognize them. But the dwarf was in
Sono sicuro che lei farà un bellissimo lavoro.
All Deceased Except the Dead, that's right.
Fresco, Legnani, è morto da circa 20 anni. Non appena finito il suo bel lavoro, quel dipinto diventerà una delle 4 specialità della zona. Oltre alle donne, l'acqua e il silenzio.
Beautiful Italian countryside, going all the way back to the first video feature, or the first movie featured on this channel, The Conformist. It's hot.
Ma questo è un grande pittore. Ma lei crede che con tutti quanti i muri che ci sono in giro, belli, puliti, liberi, bisognava scegliere proprio questo per una schifezza?
I will say, of the one other movie by Avati that I've seen, eccentricity is probably a core tenet of them, even among the scope of Italian giallo directors. He has his own drum to which he marches to.
Aspetta gratitudine qua. Aspetta un pezzo. Pronto? Pronto?
I love that voice. That's signature for Italian giallos. This like little girl kind of voice that's always attached to a man killer.
E a me non dispiacerebbe. Non mi chieda perché, ma ne ho una decina di questi. E le posso dire che Solmi ci fa una corte bestiale dietro.
Sono straordinari.
Ah, sì. Il suo preferito. È stato uno dei primi che ha dipinto. Lo regalò proprio lui stesso personalmente a mia moglie.
Interesting.
E però lui era già matto. Quella mania di mescolarsi tutti i colori addosso.
Of course.
L'ho visto cadere!
un'ambulanza.
Mio Dio.
Ammazzato! Oh, poveretto!
Creda a me, quel ragazzo lì aveva solo un nemico, ma in se stesso. E poi lei farà presto ad accorgersene, se resta qui. Questo non è un posto per i giovani. Qui i giovani vanno via e fanno bene ad andarsene via tutti. E qui non c'è lavoro. Niente.
So you might as well kill yourself.
Qui c'è solo vino. Donne giovani non ce ne sono. Il suo amico era solo.
Beh, cosa fai? Andiamo o no?
Yeah, I think she's the wife in Seven Beauties, isn't she? Man, remember the ending of Seven Beauties? Jesus, what a movie.
Hai visto che l'osso? È tutto tuo fin quando vuoi.
Seems nice. Looks like the house in Quiet Place in the Country.
Su, è qua.
Sei tu?
Non ha mangiato
What was in that
niente,
apple?
Fa schifo tutto, vippera.
perché? Se non ti piace quello che ti porto, perché non ti fai una corsa al ristorante? Che ne dici?
I'm gonna pause for a second. This is just a small thing I want to say, but part of the appeal for me, at least, for giallo films, I guess in some ways for mystery or thriller films, but specifically to the kind of ambiance of giallo films. It seems very general to say this, but everybody is kind of like two-faced in giallo films. Everybody has a secret identity, but I kind of like how that manifests is that they present kind of normally to strangers in this instance being the insert for the audience who is unfamiliar with this community or unfamiliar with the circumstances, and they adopt an entirely new face, an entirely vicious or brutal face when confronted with the familiar, usually their family in this instance, as in the case of Lidio and his either mother or grandmother, I'm assuming, but it's a really fun and vicious dichotomy to see play out. This aspect of like Italian culture or Italian familiarity, seeing this really clean, bespoke, kind of tailored personality that is fit for the tourists, and then see this aggressive, manic personality that comes out in the homestead.
È da tanto che aspettavo che venisse a stare qualcuno in questa casa. Quassù sempre sola. Lei non sa che cos'è il silenzio.
Bed being featured very prominently in All Deceased Except the Dead as well. The bed is like they pile up all the corpses on the deathbed, the master bedroom of the family patriarch, and it becomes this weird metaphor for the family. The only time that they're all like joined together is in death.
Venga qua, si avvicini. È da tanto che non tocco un volto sano. Mi fa piacere, sa.
In a weird way, I think of this like being an aspect of giallo films, maybe an undercurrent. I don't know if it's really there or not, but the killers or the crazy people in these movies seem so starved for attention they can't bear the people that are around them, and they're always looking for like fresh blood or fresh meat. Whether that be the fascination with the young in like Suspiria, or a new loved one or a new lover like in A Quiet Place in the Country, or in Tenebrae. Like for me, giallo seems to be about like cycles, I guess, that there's an old evil or a static evil in the world that's trying to renew itself or replenish itself, and it encounters like the newly innocent or the unwary or the unsuspicious, and tries to sacrifice them or take hold of them, grasp them. And the kind of like narrative crux of a giallo is the denial of this like old hierarchy, this old status quo. And that's why you kind of get a lot of, I mean, this is probably more in the Argento world, but you get a lot of like hidden siblings or family relations. People stored away in the attic. Bava too, I guess, with the one featured on this channel, the forgotten daughter, the ghost daughter, the baby doll, the It's a beautiful transition, him moving into the silhouette, and then the background kind of lighting up in response. I love evil recordings. We got to get more of those back into films. Not concerning at all.
Non credevo che saresti venuta.
Infatti, dico io. Come accoglienza non c'è male.
Gotta love a girl with some secrets.
Sono 2 ore che sto ascoltando questo qui che bestemmia. Senti, come ci sei capitato qui?
Lidio, quello della chiesa, mi ci ha portato.
Ma ci stai da solo?
No, c'è una vecchia che torna al piano di sopra. Non si muove mai dal letto.
È mostruoso fumare a stomaco vuoto.
It's fun seeing this like long shot sequence, but it's weird because they wanted to shoot it on location, so they couldn't lay down any tracks. So it's just like all handheld and a little bit fumbly wumbly. It is an interesting idea. I wonder why they reserved it for this moment to have this one continuous shot. If you want to imply something, it might be that like there's like instability in there because it's actually making a comment on their relationship. I don't know if at this point in his career, Avati was necessarily, or any point, Avati was necessarily that sophisticated in his like visual storytelling, but that might be a clue that Francesca is not necessarily to be trusted.
Di chi sono queste iniziali? Conosci un certo buono Legnani? Chi te l'ha dato?
No, è un regalo. Ce l'ho da tanto tempo.
Good for him. Wow. I guess there really has nothing to do in a small town. Those are some granny panties. God love the 70s.
Ma di che cosa vivevano? Ma di che cosa vivevano?
Poveretti, perché non avevano fatto i soldi. Capito che roba, eh?
Touching him right on the shoulder after pissing.
Mia madre faceva la lavandaia e lui venne a dipingerla mentre lei tirava gli ultimi.
That's awesome. That's such a good hook for a horror movie.
Ecco perché lo chiamavano il pittore delle agonie. Lo chiamavano così perché era uno che gli piaceva andare a dipingere la gente che era dietro a morire.
Okay, so how old is this sister supposed to be?
Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro. Viene da Rio de Janeiro.
Two sisters. They went to Brazil. So the women we have in this movie so far, we have the mother in the attic, we have the former school teacher, we have the new school teacher, Francesca, we have the blonde woman. Anybody else? She's speaking Portuguese. Ah, so the people in the fresco weren't men, they were the two sisters. Che brutti.
Sono loro! Sono le sorelle del pittore, ha capito? Le ha ritratte mentre accoltellano il corpo del martire, guardi se...
Lo sento anch'io. E quindi appena a posto questa crosta io la levo, la butto via.
Where have you been, Pastor? I'm surprised how successful this movie was, or how popular it was, given the kind of dearth of killings in it. We've only seen like one so far in a fantasy sequence. Not at all like what you would come to expect from something like Tenebrae, for example, which kind of like builds on the killing sequences in like operatic fashion. As far as All Deceased Except the Dead, something I will say to Avati's credit is he really is invested in the actual mystery of these stories, trying to find a solution that is logical and satisfactory.
Tu avevi detto che saremmo rimasti sempre insieme. Era questo che mi mancava.
C'è un treno che parte domani mattina alle 9. Credi che alzandoci presto riusciremo a fare le valigie in tempo?
We gotta solve the mystery of the flowers. What's up with the flowers?
Le sorelle del pittore sono ancora qui. E se vuoi saperlo, sono ancora vive. Io lo so che sono tutti qui. Tutti qui sotto.
Oh!
Eccolo qui, uno dei suoi modelli. E pensare che anch'io stavo per fare quella fine lì.
Stefano?
Non è che ti sei spaventata? Dai, puttana, dai!
And through it all, the mystery only deepens. It only gets more and more complicated. I'm finding it harder to resolve, if anything. I thought it'd be a very straightforward kind of mystery. In terms of the painter and his sisters, they'd have some identity that was very clear.
Ti porterò in una casa dalle finestre che ridono.
Francesca, sei lì? Signora, ha visto?
That's confusing. How could that happen? We're gonna meet Bart's brother. Oh, shit. Ooh, she's got armpit hair. Yeah, something bad's going on in this house. You should probably get out. Maybe the old lady is cross-dressing? And it's really the painter?
Andiamo di qua, presto. No, da questa parte.
Yeah, the mystery in this is increasingly impenetrable. I'm really kind of surprised. I kind of took it as a lark, like the mystery of All Deceased Except the Dead. It was like
Lo so dove l'hanno portata.
hard to figure out, but like when it was resolved, it wasn't necessarily the most satisfactory thing in the world. But this is like increasingly indecipherable in a way that I think is a bit more sophisticated than a regular giallo film would allow. This is going from like giallo mystery into like blow up mystery. But I still think the entire town is like complicit. That has to be the explanation. That's the only explanation that makes sense. But if they're hiding this thing, why did they invite him to restore this fresco?
Senta, ma lei è sicuro di sentirsi bene? Guardi che qui non c'è proprio niente.
Ma le giuro che è qui. Che è vero.
Bastardo!
Sure. That makes sense. But who's the other one?
È per lui. Lo vedi? Il nostro fratellino.
It's kind of weird.
Possiede ancora, sai, tutte e due.
Yeah, they're making blood offerings to him.
Purché noi gli portiamo i modelli. Per lui dipingere la morte è vivere.
It's just a recording. I mean, these ladies do be crazy. So who's the other sister? Why do they keep hiding her face? Who could it be? The old school teacher? The previous school teacher? I guess that would wrap things up. She's not old enough though, right? You should probably go beyond the town limits. I don't think you're exactly safe here either. With all the closed windows, everybody's kind of denied that this thing has happened. Denial upon denial upon denial.
Solmi! Solmi!
Yo, the priest has been involved this entire time. He's not going to help you out.
Bisogna fermarle. Bisogna fare qualcosa. Chiami un dottore, la prego.
Is the priest the other sister? That'd be very, very strange.
Le sorelle dei legnani. Sono ancora vive. Sono ancora vive, sono ancora vive. Sono state loro. Una è la mia padrona di casa.
La paralitica?
Love that shot. That shot was insane.
Bella seccatura adesso che l'Idio è morto.
Devo fare tutto da sola.
Yeah, there it is. It's an interesting interpretation. I guess in some ways that may tie into the Saint Sebastian aspect of this, the like the queerness of it, the fearfulness of it, the fearfulness of the feminine, of the... I mean, that's a crazy ending. That's a crazy giallo-ish kind of ending.
Laura, vieni a vederla.
It's weird that he had the photos of them and didn't recognize her, that sister, this entire time. That's a crazy ending. That's a crazy, crazy ending. I think crazy enough to not logistically solve the problems of the movie, or not the problems of the movie, the mystery of the movie, but crazy enough where you're like, holy shit, what an ending. I think that's something that giallo kind of requires to a certain extent, and I think they hit their benchmark with that. That was crazy enough. There are logistical things, obviously, where it's he had a photograph of the two of them and didn't recognize the priest, but I did like how kind of restrained it was in some aspects of giallo. I know I said that giallo is about stylistic excess, and this actually in comparison was very, very austere, but I think it created more atmosphere as a result in some ways. It put more focus on the mystery aspect of this, and so while the resolution could never fully address all of the mysteries of it, it kind of pointed like a magnifying glass to have the resolution be as explosive as possible. I do not necessarily see, but I kind of agree with this assessment that was made that this movie is perhaps about post-war Italy and about kind of resolving its own history with fascism. Yes and no. Yes. The complicity of the town definitely plays into that. Everybody ostensibly wanting to stop these murders. Everybody knowing that these murders are tearing apart the townsfolk, and that everybody's leaving. All the young women have left. The town is left in its last dying gasps. But everybody in the end being complicit. The cops burying the bodies, the church sanctifying the actions of the two sisters, obviously one of them being in the church, and that kind of ties into some aspects of the predatory, or at least complicit nature of the church in these fascistic or these brutal evil forces. It's a weirdly perfect giallo ending where it's not a perfect ending. It doesn't really resolve everything within the scope of the movie, but it's so outrageous that you kind of can't question it. It's a really insane ending, and that's kind of all you ask of these things. Even more so than the bloodshed or the pyrotechnics. This is the inverse in a way of Suspiria. Everything that is crazy and supernatural and pyrotechnical about Suspiria, for all of that, it has a really kind of clean resolution, a very simple resolution. Its ending is almost the least interesting part of it, and this is so much of this is like pedestrian and mundane, and it doesn't really reveal itself, and it keeps on cloaking itself, it keeps on hiding itself, and it keeps on hiding, it keeps on hiding. And then the ending with the reveal of the two sisters and the reveal of the church are just like the most insane thing ever. It's a funny inverse of Suspiria for me, where I don't know if I like this more than Suspiria, but I think it's such a tonal contrast that it like achieves in the balance like a very, very different approach to how to. Suspiria is not a giallo film, but a very different approach on how to do this this kind of thriller, or this kind of shocking narrative. That was The House with Laughing Windows. Really interesting piece. I'd recommend you give it a watch. Let me know what you think. In the meantime, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. And until next time, keep watching good movies.